to be a human being like me and you. All right, what's up, y'all? My name is Evan Strong. I'm the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. This is In the Image Clothing Company music. I'll give a little context. In the Image Clothing Company is not just a company about clothing, but we address the human body and its natural function, just allowing the body to work and everything that we do. So this is just 1/3 of us in the Image Clothing Company music. We have the main side of In the Image Clothing Company where we discuss the anatomy of the human body and clothing, what clothing is really doing to the body, how to keep clothing centered, and just allow the only thing placed on our physical bodies to mesh with the way that our physical bodies work. And then we also have another third, which is In the Image Clothing Company music. Yes, that's this. Sorry, I'm normally doing the podcast, and so I don't normally do videos like this at this time as often, but In the Image Clothing Company podcast, where we have discussions on the gospel of Jesus Christ. And yeah, so that's the 3/3 to our company. They're all great. They all have their places. They all have their information. We just speak things as they are. And yeah, I feel like I'm like out of practice with In the Image Clothing Company music discussions because I'm normally just playing music on this side of the company. But what I'm going to show is the hands and guitars. If you know me at all, Evan Strong, if you know In the Image Clothing Company music at all, I talk all the time about the sizes of guitars, and I'm always talking about how setup is so much more important than practice. It's just the case. So you can check out the videos that I have under In the Image Clothing Company music. Full nylon string guitar setup is one of them. Yeah, that's probably actually just the one that I'm going to reference right now. Just, the sizes of guitars, stringing techniques of guitars, how we need a radius in guitars because the hand is round, and to have that open palm, it's never going to be able to be there using anything flat as a human being. You see my shoulder drop as my hand goes from its natural open palm to flat fingers like you're playing a traditional classical guitar, right? So I'm not mocking, not making fun of people, but the human body only works the way that it does. It will never use something flat, naturally, comfortably, without pain within the entire body. Anything that happens within the hands travels through the entire body, all the way down to the arches in our feet. So, wow, I just went on a little bit of a hike about, within the past hour. So, yes, it's Utah, cold, snowy out there. The United States of America. Okay, so let's talk about Frank the guitar a little bit. This is Frank the guitar. He's a Yamaha CGS 102A, but he has a custom radius. You will never buy this guitar from the factory and have it be how mine is. It's rounded to the frets, to the nut, to the saddle. There's round happening to Frank the guitar. And that is absolutely a must. There's no way around it, no dispute, no opinion you can have, no desire to play anything flat that will ever overcome the way that your body works that you didn't design. So, yes, our God designed our bodies, and they are how they are. The hand is round, the hand is open in the palm naturally, otherwise you have pain. Period, and done. But what I'm going to say, in addition to that, because in past videos for In the Image Clothing Company music, I've gone into that in quite great depth. But what I am going to show is the hand needs to be working in line. I think we're out of touch more now than ever, and it's not just that I think that. It is the truth. It's the truth. The human being in 2025, today is the 15th of February, 2025. We've never been as out of touch with the only way that our human bodies actually work ever in history. It's never been even able to be the case as we are in modern day. And the body will just never change. It only does what it does. It always has. It always will only do what it does. The fingers work on the pads of the fingers. A lot of people, they try to touch their fingers together and they'll be using the very tips like this, but you can't actually do anything with the tips of your fingers. The pads where the fingerprints are is how the hand works. And so, right, I mean, you're gripping something and you're not going to be gripping it with the tips of the fingers like this. You're going to be gripping with the pads of your fingers. Like your fingers are extended out like this, and they're all touching where the fingerprints are. Okay, like the center part of this pad of the end of the digit of the finger. That's how the hand's actually designed to work. Otherwise, it's just not going to do anything functional or beneficial. And the shoulders are so altered. But so is the rest of the entire body if you're doing like this versus this, okay? So I talk about the neutral wrist. I've made videos where I have content on discussing what the neutral wrist is for the human being, every single one of us, straight out from the pinky. Like if I lay my arm down right here on the strings, the strings are being pulled in a straight line. Straight out from the pinky is the neutral wrist of the arm. There's a sleeve cuff here, so there's a little bit of a gap for the visual that I'm showing, but do it for yourself on your own body. Don't take my word for anything. Truth is truth. So we need to be able to use our hands in ways that closes them to where all the fingers are together. The fingers naturally will wrap around the thumbs. All the pads then are touching together. Now, if you look at your arm here, that's where that neutral wrist is. Okay, there's no adjustment here other than me opening and closing my fingers. You can see the angles of everything are staying the exact same, other than the fact that I'm not perfect and I'm not like doing it exactly perfectly in line. But right, if I'm laying my arm out here and all my fingers are touching on the pads, not on the very tips, never will that be the way that a human being works, on the pads of the fingers, I lay my arm here and now I stick my pinky out and I go back to touching all the pads together. Nothing is changing. That's just how it is. That's just how the human body works. I didn't decide it. I didn't design it, but that's how it is. So in that case, what we want is to be doing everything always in our existence as a human being, but this is in the Image Clothing Company music, so especially playing music, right? We want to be doing everything to where our hands are always coming to the closed position as if all the pads are touching, like we're just closing our own fingers together while they're not having anything in between them, right? Neutral wrist, right there, closing all the pads together. Because you can't have a neutral wrist if you try to close your fingertips. See my shoulder? Because you have to like get to a different location. You can't do that unless your shoulder compensates. The body's just a mechanical machine in the physical function sense. That's all it is. And so it's never going to happen using the tips of your fingers and having a functional body in any sense of what that means. It will never happen. So because of that, I have the stringing technique that I do, and I've shown that. There's a video under In the Image Clothing Company music titled How to String a Nylon String Guitar. So what it does is all the strings are pulling out from the center of the fretboard. I'm not going to get picky talking about this part, that part, and this. The whole thing is just from the center of where the strings are, everything pulls out. So that way, when you're squeezing your fingers together, they're having to work against something that's pulling apart. And that way, when your hand, because this is just how it is over the strings, I mean, when I'm picking like this, my hand is just over all the strings. And if they close together, meaning all my fingers, look where they close to. The center of the fretboard, even though my hand's down here, right? But just the center of all 6 of the strings is where my hand, if I were to be picking, like I'll pick through something, right here, take my hand, I didn't move the position I was picking in. If I were to just close all my fingers together, look where they end up. I mean, I didn't move anything. I'm not making this something it isn't. I'm not trying to over-exaggerate something. I'm not trying to sound smart. The human body only works how it does. That's why we have In the Image Clothing Company music. That's why we have In the Image Clothing Company as a whole. We just speak truths as they are. So see this hand here, the right one? I'm not adjusting. I'll pick a little bit. And now watch. I close my hand. Right? All the pads are coming together here. And that's only going to happen if all the strings are pulling apart. So that as I'm plucking them, they're opposing this position straight to the very center. And I'm not adjusting anything. Look at this. And then I'm closing, right? And then I'm closing, right? A minor. Whoops. But it's still here, closing. I mean, it's just going to be how it's going to be. what I'm saying is, nylon string guitars especially are notorious for causing damage to human beings. Because if you are wrapping strings different directions than just, it's not about me, but Evan Strong's stringing technique for nylon string guitars, right? In the Image Clothing Company Music's stringing technique, because I'm the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. It's not about me, but I just want to make it very clear. We just share things only because it's going to help you. You'll be in physical pain, period, and done. If when you are playing a guitar, your hands are not operating as if they're closing together. Okay, up here, everything's pulling slightly outward as well from the center. And so when you're fretting, look, closing together to the center of the fretboard. But now look, if there wasn't a neck of a guitar between my fingers and my thumb, then they'd be just closing together because everything's closing together, okay? The hand comes to itself. All the fingers come to the pads of them together. That's the only way the hand will ever work. Otherwise, you're going to be in very, very, very immense physical pain. I never set down this guitar, Frank the guitar, or just any guitar that I will ever play, as long as I'm setting it up the way that I know how to, that I've shared and shown through In the Image Clothing Company Music. And after doing so, setting it down, never do I have to do any massage, stretch, loosening up, mobility work, anything, period, ever, to my hands or my forearms or my shoulders. Never. It's not about me. But that's why I'm so bold about it, because every single human being can have the opportunity for that to be the case. Now, I'm very, very intentional about my body, other than just my hands alone and the setup of the instrument that I do play. And so that also is having to happen to allow that to be the case, but it is the case. Never do I do any type of massage or loosening or stretching or whatever people are doing to their hands and forearms. And I know that they do because I in my past have. But that's why I founded In the Image Clothing Company, because I started to understand how the human body actually works, the way that it does, that we don't get to decide. So you can be a seasoned 40, 80, 90-year playing guitarist, right? Just anything absurd on any end of everything. And I don't care what your opinion is. I'm going to sit on that for a second, because this is the only way your hand is going to work. Both of them, actually, because normally we used to play guitar. So you have to, and don't believe me, listen to what I'm saying. If you want your hands to work. If you want no physical pain coming from the operation of playing a guitar, right? Yeah. In the Image Clothing Company, we speak truths, we just allow the body to work. That's the key word, always, allow. If you're trying to massage your hands, if you're trying to stretch your hands, if you're trying to warm up your body to do something, then your body's not working. The body's always working if it's working. There should never be any time that is different than another time as a human being a physical, operable, fleshly, mechanical machine. Okay? So check out In the Image Clothing Company podcast, because we talk about a lot of this stuff in the way that I'm talking about it now. Very boldly, bluntly, and as it is, because truth is truth. And the main side of In the Image Clothing Company as well. We discuss a lot of things, the anatomy of the human body, a lot of stuff. But just, yeah, making it very clear, the hands have to close together and not at the very tips. Well, and this is a big point, is a lot of times people will wrap strings in other ways that are very common to do that, and it's very damaging to the human body. I'm going to say how a lot of people do it. A lot of times people will wrap the strings from the bottom, all 6 of them. But what we do within the stringing technique that I show under In the Image Clothing Company, Evan Strong's stringing technique, if you will, for nylon string classical guitars, but you have to have a radius, otherwise your hands will be in pain as well. Just because, well, like, look at this, right? A rounding to the hand, just the natural open palm, like the open arches in our feet that are directly correlated from hands to feet. An open palm like this closes like this. Okay, look at my shoulder, no adjustment. If I try to get my hands flat, my shoulder has to move, and you will never close your hand together. And so pain, 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 and pain. If you're ever using anything flat as a human being, we are just natural, and we didn't decide that, but we man-made things, and so they're unnatural if we're not careful and understanding. So that's what we do here, discuss the truth. So, yes, close the hands together. But when people wrap everything from the bottom, all 6 of them, it's pulling down like this. And so now, because you'll hear people show and share that too, where they're like, stick your thumb kind of like this and pick like this, but that's not anywhere near a neutral wrist. Like, no. And then now try to close your hands together, and what operation is your opposable thumb going to have other than trying to play guitar in a position your hand doesn't even operate in? Okay, the hands work here. Neutral wrist, straight out from the pinky, right? It's not here, this, it's here, like this, right? All the strings coming to the center. You're not going to be doing this and then go through life and like operate as a human being. And so everything and anything and all things that we ever do, as I mentioned earlier, just has to be the exact same allowing of the body to do the only thing that it does. It doesn't do this, never would it. I mean, there's no reason this would happen. But this, now, I have just rotations in my shoulder, right? You go here and try to rotate like you're playing a guitar like this, right? Now try to rotate your shoulder, binding, cramping, pain. The hand doesn't work, not connected to its own endpoints. The fingertips all touch. The finger pads, right? Not the very like point tips, but the pads where the fingerprints are at. This is how the hand works, right? Because that's the thing, is sometimes you might be doing some type of like what you would call rehabilitation to your, and I'm not mocking, but it's just the hand only works how it does. I know how stuck in their ways people are that, again, have been playing guitars longer than I have been alive and been stringing them in other ways besides what I show to do. It's not about me, but it's just the truth of the only way the hand works. If you're trying to like loosen up or warm up your hands, maybe you're doing something similar to this. But look, you take this. What is this? This is exactly what Evan Strong's stringing technique / InTheImageClothingCompany music's stringing technique allows to happen. All the fingers coming to the center of the fretboard. You're doing the exact thing here, trying to like get mobility back to your hands, but it's just that should always naturally be there. But you know, you're doing this to warm up or whatever. I don't know if people do this, but I just could see this being something they do. Just the point being, you know, just using your hand as it's designed to, the only way that it works. And then you go to play guitar, and now your stringing technique is causing you to do this, right? And it looks weird to me, and seeing me do it, because I'm not sitting how most people would sit, right? Because you'd be like probably similar to this, but then your shoulder is so altered. I mean, the body only works as a whole, and it works here, not here, here, not here, here. Everything comes together, okay? So at that point, then you play. Then everything's coming together. Okay? Because, well, let me say this. I understand to degrees and for reasons, this is one of them, that people would be stringing guitars to where this is happening. Because when they're picking, people say, like, keep your fingers out of the way of each other so that you can have full strokes like this, right? Your thumb can move and move and move. But again, each time you're doing this, you're dropping and dropping and dropping and dropping your shoulder. And so that's why I was showing, I play here, my upper trapezius muscles, just part of the body that works, the highest muscle that's like the main thing that's actually supporting the shoulder, works here, because that's how the hand's going to work, okay? But you'll see guitarists and they'll play like this. And they're grooving down here, bro. I'm not mocking you. I'm not trying to make fun of you, but I am mocking what's happening, because the human body only works the way that it does. And it works here, as if I'm just like a human being, just operating, and my body is having motion and rotations and is doing what it's doing. And now I'm playing a guitar. And everything stays the same, because my hands are allowed to just do the only thing that they do. And I'm not mocking, but I have to make it kind of silly, kind of almost insultive, and just as bold as it is, or else people will be like, he's somebody with an opinion. No opinion. No opinion. I mean, I'm a human being and I mess up, right? Sinful by nature, as we discussed on In the Image Clothing Company podcast. But the whole thing is, you don't got to believe anything that I say. I didn't design your body, but I can tell you how it works, and then you can be like on the other side of our earth and be like, oh, you're right. Not because Evan Strong is right, but because the hand only works how it does. So the pads all touch together here. all the strings have to come to the center. Well, really be pulling away from the center, because then as you're squeezing, you're opposing the force that they're going to be springing back from, right? So I haven't played guitar in quite a few days. But the whole thing is, the thumb almost always is on these bass 3 strings. And these other 3 fingers are almost always on these 3 strings. Not every single case, not every single time, but you see, because like here, my pointer, index finger, this one right here, is on one of the bass strings that's pulling the opposite direction that I'm plucking it right here. And that's whatever, because no, ideally, yeah, we have this strong spring back. Okay, or right, opposing the direction we're plucking the string. But the point still is, there's a center to the fretboard. And so where your hand is around, at that point, you know, because even if you're playing just over here, meaning more toward one side, like on a D chord, or you're playing more just on the bass side only, just kind of like, either way, you're still surrounding the whole string 6 as a whole, right? All 6 of them, your hand's still like over all the strings. So the center of what you're doing is still going to be just the middle of the fretboard, right? And also, pretty much no matter what, you're going to have this piece of wood in the center up here for a classical guitar, if it has the tuning barrels that are on, you know, each side, and it's pulling out from the top anyway. So that's the other thing, is now you just have the same thing going on with our stringing technique, right? And so everything is just coming, look at this, right? Your hands close together, your hands close together, and they work well because they're designed to, by not me, nor you, nor any other human being that is on this earth currently. So yeah, we didn't design our bodies. So I just know how big of a thing it seems to be to the people on the street that got all the pain to their bodies, bro. Because I've been through so many guitars, I've set them all up myself, and many times each, and I've done tiny little minute adjustments for months to get a guitar where I wanted it or needed it. That's the case with this here, Frank the guitar. But that's not the word I was looking for. So because of that, I understand that people have pain in their hands. And what I was saying, though, about getting, you know, understanding how you feel like you want full fluid range of motion without fingers in the way of the thumb and thumb in the way of the fingers, but that's just not how your hand works. So I don't care how you want to play your guitars. You go through the rest of your life now and you've deeply ingrained a patterning to doing this, right? Because really this is this. I just, you know, people sitting here again shredding like this. But then now if there wasn't a guitar in my hands, look at my body. I mean, that's not a joke. I'm not over-exaggerating it. You know, not touching on your pads of your fingers together and playing like this, well, even maybe like this, right? People tell you to put your thumb on the back of the neck. That's very strange because this is not anywhere near the neutral wrist, which is here, right? Which is actually here. I mean, that's the neutral wrist, but people tell you to go very far away from that neutral wrist, put your thumb on the back of the fretboard, and then this thumb here, and now you're playing something like this, but you're probably on a full-size guitar, so you're looking like this. But then you go through life as if there's no guitar in your hand, and And how's this going to happen? I'm not trying to judge or make fun of people, but I just want to make it so apparent that I'm not trying to make it be anything out of an opinion, because it's just the case, just how it is. For every human to ever live, every existence of a being of flesh that is a human being. Okay, so yes, I mean, it's just how it is. Hands close together. Now you're sitting like a human that can operate and lift their own shoulders above their head, because that's what they're designed to do. I don't know, man. I mean, it's like, I just want to make it as real as it is. I don't know, bro. Okay, anyway, I like to show that I can also play. I'm not just some kid who thinks I know how the body works. I'm not just somebody who wants to be right about anything, because I don't care to be. But I want truth, and there it is. So that's how the human hand works. Well, I mean, like even right now, right? My hands, if the fretboard wasn't here, right? If there was no guitar here, though, and I was just sitting talking to you, my body would be in the same position, and I'd just be operating as a human being, because all my fingers are allowed to just be in the position they're already in when I'm playing a guitar, okay? As real as it is. I wanted to be just so obvious that it's not about me. It's not my opinion. Don't listen to me, but I'm giving you the truth. It's just how the hand works, no dispute, right? It's like how I say under In the Image Clothing Company, the body has a center line, no belief, no opinion, no yoga class. I mean, there's a spine in the center of the body, right? The finger pads have to work together. Otherwise, I mean, how are you going to do something in life, right? You're playing a guitar in a position like this, right? But probably more with your right hand, because it's most common for people to be right-handed picking. But now what are you going to do in life besides like try to massage out your hand to get it back to the only way that it does work, which is this. So if you don't know, you don't know. We can't be held accountable for what we don't know, but that's why I want to make it so blunt and bold and obvious, even if you don't see that it's obvious at your current time, because I didn't. I went through 20 guitars. This is my 20th. Setups is the reason as to why, and learning how to allow the human body to work. So I have now learned, and it's not about me, it's not my opinion, it's not only applying to me because of my height, because of my hand size, because I'm a man, because I want to play a smaller guitar because of me, because that is not the case. The only way the human hand works is if all the fingers come together. Look how open that palm is. Another huge thing though, and like I said, check out In the Image Clothing Company Music's full nylon string guitar setup video, but in addition to the rounding that has to be there just because the hand is, there's no opinion, no dispute, no yoga class, right? Like I say with the center line of the body, there just is one. Also, this G string is just thicker diameter. You have to have a compensation there. Otherwise, that in itself, right, your rounded hand here, just how it works, right, that's going to be like having a, rounded fretboard, and everything that comes with the rounding that is a radius to a guitar that has to be there. No opinion, no belief, no dispute, no preference. The human body only works like this. Otherwise, it works like it doesn't, because it doesn't do this. So, yeah. Anyway, but then you take that G string and elevate it just because it's thicker. Now your pointer finger's back here, index finger, right? This one. So you go from this nice open palm because there's a radius to now, and also not only open palm, but then the fingers just coming together and nothing's adjusting within the human being. But you go from this and then elevate that index finger, and it's going to drop your shoulder, right? Thicker G string. Whoa. And now look, your thumb's closer to here, right? Because this index finger has been taken out of its only neutral, normal, natural working position with that open palm. If the thickness of that G string is there. So the compensation will then allow your index finger to drop back down to where it's going to normally be, because it is lower than the middle finger. The index finger is lower. That's how you have an open palm. But right, this index finger is most commonly on the G string here. And so for that reason, if that G string's higher, now you're more like this, okay? But now where's your neutral wrist? Non-existent, because you've pulled your index finger back, and any and every reason in addition to that comes from poorly set up guitars. So if you don't know, you don't know, but that's why I'm showing and sharing what I am, the truth, not my opinions. And so then you, need to be able to be here, because it's just the neutral wrist, bro. I mean, it's just how the hand works. So yeah, I mean, there's no opinion. There's no possible choice you can have. But I do get it, right? Because what happens is it kind of starts to feel like you're hitting your fingers into each other, especially that thumb and the index finger. A lot of times that's the case. But look, a neutral wrist, straight out from the pinky. I mean, yeah, with the finger prints, the pads of them together, as if you're operating with the hand, it'd be here. But just a relaxed, neutral hand, again, just straight out from the pinky, right, is actually your thumb just rests right here, just nice and loose and relaxed and open. And that's just the same as this, but your fingers are closed, right? The wrist angle isn't changing, nothing is. And here you are. Really, well, because again, what's the point of a thumb if it doesn't work in conjunction with the fingers? That's what the thumb is for. I know I moved my shoulder. I recognized it, just so people don't say, well, you moved your shoulder when you, right? Okay, you're here, and then you're here. I mean, nothing adjusts through the entire body. The hand just works. There's so much motion and mobility here. Same with here. It's the same thing. And so really, you do want to feel like you're almost hitting your thumb into your index finger. You really do, because the hand needs to be able to work. And so if you're using your thumb over here, look at my shoulder, look at the guitar, look at me shred, bro. But no, here is how the only way the hand will ever work of a human being. The neutral wrist, everything working together, okay? I'm not being mean. I sound blunt, I sound bold because I am, but I'm not being mean. So yeah, there we go. Yeah, because my thumb actually is hitting into my index finger. But that's how the hand works. I mean, the hand closes together. The hand then can have strength. Otherwise, you have, oh, I've fallen and I can't exist, because, well, your hand only works how it does. So this is In the Image Clothing Company music. I just want to be very clear. The only reason I'm making this is to help people, because you will never have to try to fix a problem if we just make sure that we do all that we can to not let it happen in the first place. In the Image Clothing Company's stringing technique, in the Image Clothing Company's full nylon string guitar setup information, right? There we go. That's it, and that's it. So, but again, the hands are exactly directly correlated with the feet. Their operations are extremely similar. You'll never have feet arches that are activating and working if your hand open palm is not there. And so your body's like dying. And now look at my thumb angle, right? If your body's not even working, I'm not making fun, but I'm just, again, the only way the human being works isn't this. It's here, activated. As if I could just like use my body and be a human being and operate and play guitar, right? So, okay, all right. I think I've made the point. So, yeah. Please don't think that I'm trying to be mean to anybody, but I know that people like to do what they think they like to do. And none of this is about what I like to do. I didn't design my body, your body, his body, her body, and they're all the same. We're universally designed in the image of our living God, Jesus Christ. If you got opinions about that and you want to get all offended about whatever you want because you're like not religious or whatever, I don't know why I'm sounding so blunt and bold and almost accusations in this, but I don't care because I'm not being mean. So I just want people to listen to the truth. Um, I just know how much turmoil I was in, physical pain and immense emotional stuff that I was going through with 20 guitars, 19 really, because this one is the 20th and it's good, really, really, really good because of what I've done to it. But I had moments in my past playing guitars, just the past couple years, where the amount of tension within my body was just unreal. So much. So, I mean, there's only one way you're going to allow your hand to work when you're playing a guitar, and that's what we show within In the Image Clothing Company music. So, I'm pretty bold about things because you kind of have to be, man, to break through people's, beliefs. I don't think I've ever gone into a guitar store and played a nylon string guitar that didn't cause me to cramp up within just seconds. And I've been in many guitar stores and played many guitars, just for the sake of experience is why I'm saying that. Never has it been the case that I could play it for more than a few seconds, like plucking through 10 notes or something until my hands were like, holy cow, I do not want to be touching this poorly set up guitar from this guitar shop. And so it's absurd that people are trying to play guitar, because some people probably have such a, even if it's not a desire out of their own being, but maybe they're just drawn to guitars. Maybe they're supposed to play guitar. Maybe they're going to do great things and help a lot of people by playing and through playing guitar. I'm one of those people. But if those people don't understand that what's coming from the guitar is the guitar setup and not them approaching playing, then they might give up on trying to play, or they might just be mad at it. They might have a negative view toward it when it's nothing besides the setup. Size of guitar as well, but that's, I'm just trying to show people how their bodies work, because I can tell you how your body works, right? I really can. It's not about me. Anybody else could, as long as they were telling you the truth. But that's the whole thing. Like, look how I'm sitting right now, right? I'm not sitting like this. Whoa, right? As if I'm picking a guitar like this. I'm sitting like how the body works. Watch my shoulder. You're plucking like this because people tell you to keep your thumb out of the way, and because your stringing technique is just causing this to happen no matter what you want to do anyway, if it's incorrect. Well, look at my shoulder. Now look at my shoulder. I'm chilling. I'm relaxing. I've got rotations out the wazoo, brother. It's not about me, but everybody has the same functionality of their mechanical skeletal system as I do, because we're all human beings. We're all the same. So, yeah, resting here, just chilling, just relaxing. I'm here. I mean, I'm not here on the tips. Look at my shoulder drop, okay? And I'm definitely not over here, right? I'm not exaggerating what's happening. In order to get my thumb out there without just forcing it and feeling cramping up in my, under my arm here, under like my shoulder area, I have to drop my shoulder to get there. So now, again, you're playing down here like this, and then you go through life and you can't breathe, you can't move. But you need to be just like a human being, working, operating. I'm not judging. I'm trying to help, brother. So, in the Image Clothing Company, all three sides of our company, we give a lot of good information of just ideally keeping every and all opinions out of what we talk about. But I'm a human being, and I have those when and if I do, times and places, and I'm sinful by nature, as we all are. So, don't blindly believe what I'm saying. Don't think just because I'm so bold about this that I'm right. It doesn't matter if I'm right or not. But try this, and it will manifest itself to you. Truth is truth. I don't get to decide it. I don't get to change it. I don't determine it or have any effect on it. It's just what it is. But like, look, I mean, you're holding this, you're here, right? Everything's gonna come here. You're not gonna hold your guitar with the very tips of your fingers, right? I moved my knee out of the way because I had to, because my shoulder had to compensate. And you're also not gonna hold your guitar with your thumb like this, right? I mean, it's just, you're gonna use your hands together like this. And so that's what our stringing technique does. That's what a nice little half-sized guitar, somewhere similar to that, will allow to happen. And that's what a rounding within the radius of the guitar will do. And that's what allowing that index finger to come in more than the other fingers, especially the middle one, just because it's right next to it. That's what that will allow to do if you do that compensation within the G string and drop it a little bit lower, right? That's just how the hand works. It works like this, not quite flat, because the back of the fretboard or the back of the neck is flat, but it would be, more rounded like this. But that's why we put a radius into the guitar, okay? Not flat, shoulder will drop a little bit, rounded, not flat, rounded. If the neck wasn't here, and I wrap my fingers around my own thumb, look, nothing has changed. So that's actually how the human being works. In nature, we've always got some kind of rounding, some kind of texture to things. You pick up a rock, you grab a tree, there's texture to it, rounding. Your hand's gonna work like this. It's not gonna work flat, and it's not gonna try to grab something like this. I'm not being judgmental. I know that my tone is a little bit like, you should know better. No, you don't know what you don't know. It took me 19 guitars to know these things, right? I didn't know. That's why I'm so bold about it. So, truth is truth. In the Image Clothing Company, check us out, brother. I like to just shred through guitars, bro. I'm self-taught as well. I'm self-taught with guitar playing. I'm self-taught with all this. I don't mean that to be so like egoic. Like, it's all about how much I learned on my own. What I'm saying is just, I'm allowed to play so freely and comfortably and have a good time doing it because I just work around my own body. Because I can't try to be doing something that I want to do because I think that I want something. It's just, you have to do everything you can to let your body do what it'll do. Anyway, I'm not, he's very, very, very out of tune, I'm aware. So, there we go. Look at my body. Look at it work. Not because of me. That's weird to say like that. I didn't mean to say it like that. I just mean, I'm trying to be the example. I'm doing all that I can to go before as far as do the things that I'm saying. I have an episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast titled Preaching What You Practice rather than Practicing What You Preach, because ideally that's the case. Ideally we're just talking about the things we're already doing. I'm not sitting here trying to like say all this is all good and stuff and then try to do it myself. It's like, no, I've got so much experience about doing stuff, so much experience doing things wrong and messing up. So let me preach about what I've practiced, right? And it's on the other end of how that's normally said is how I worded that episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. So the hands only work how they do. Look at this, right? Look at this, right? I mean, it's just the same thing. Nothing in my body is changing when I'm doing these things. You know what I'm saying? It's so out of tune. Anyway, thank you. Like I said, today is the 5th of February. No, but that's not what I said because that's not even today's date. Today's the 15th of February, 2025. My name is Evan Strong. In the Image Clothing Company music, man. I say these kind of things and it's not about me, but I'm going to be a very, very good guitarist. I'm already pretty good. I mean, I'm comfortable with it. I can pick through things. I understand tempos all over the place most of the time, but I don't care. If I'm trying to be on tempo, then I can try to be on tempo. But for the most part, I'm just kind of, I do a lot of freestyle stuff, and I love that, right? That's my background with music. So I'm going to be good at guitars. It's not about me, but I just mean I'm giving information, but I really know what I'm talking about. So don't believe me, but try these things for yourself. They'll manifest themselves to you because truth is truth. So, yeah. Check out In the Image Clothing Company, man, because I get this bold about the things that I talk about over there and all through every part of all three sides of the company, because things are just what they are. Again, I'll never be perfect at relaying things. I'll never be perfect at understanding anything. I'm a human being, dude, sinful by nature. But yeah, our whole company is centered around the gospel of Jesus Christ, and that's the whole thing. Is we can't have opinions of what we want to do within guitar setups or guitar stringing or whatever. I mean, the angles of things are so important too. You're never gonna have the pads of your fingers just line up at that neutral wrist if your angles of your setup of like the saddle and the nut and the neck and things are just not how they need to be. So yeah, like I said, In the Image Clothing Company Music's full nylon string guitar setup video. Where you find us on the internet. It is 2025 currently, and going forward, I'm foreseeing there being the internet still as we continue to be human beings going onto this journey of earthly existence. So we just need to let the hands work together, whether it's here, whether it's here, whether it's here. But then you get out farther on a big guitar and you can't, because that's farther away from the center line of your own being, where your core is, you know, your abdominal muscles, where your hands are just going to work and grab something. You get out here and you can't. So now you're playing a full-size guitar and you're like this. Well, no wonder, okay? And you don't know what you don't know, but again, that's why we have In the Image Clothing Company, because I went through a lot to know what I do. And it wasn't fun, let me tell you, by any means. A lot of pain, a lot of... I mean, you can feel like you're actually like in the fire and brimstone of hell. No joke. When your body is being filled with tension because you're doing stuff that it doesn't do. I know how awesome it is to play guitar, and I know how good of a time I have doing it. And so I know the feeling that comes when you just want to play, and when you know, like, wow, this is something I could really enjoy. Or if it's, in my case, this is how it's been for me, and I've mentioned this within In the Image Clothing Company content multiple times, I haven't been able to stop playing guitars. And I tried to. I was like, no, I don't really want to do this anymore. And I was trying to do other things and trying to just give it up because of all the struggle that I had with it. And so if you're like me, or not, but just, you know, speaking this out of my own experience to give some context, I knew that I was supposed to play guitars. It wasn't even about if I wanted to or not, because I really didn't. I was so fed up with it. But whatever the case is, it's never going to be an enjoyable experience, even a tolerable experience, if you're not doing all you can to just allow, keyword under In the Image Clothing Company is allow your body to do the only thing that it does. Look at my open palm. It's not about me, but just again for the sake of how the human being works, unaltered. Okay? As if I'm just sitting here again. I'm going to close my hand at this point. I'm just sitting talking to you like this, but like with my hands, right? And then I close my fingers together. Nothing has adjusted, nothing has altered, nothing has moved. And the prints of the pads of the fingers touch together, okay? But you gotta have nails. You gotta have fingernails to support the ends of your fingers all the way to the very tips of them. Cut flat on the tips. You can round the corners a little bit, but you don't have fingernails, and that's not gonna allow your body to work either, because we're given fingernails to support the hands that then travel, like I was saying, through the entire body all the way down to the arches in your feet. And so now you have no support from the foundation of your being, which is your feet, if your hands don't have their natural support and you're trying to do anything as a human being. So, yes, this is how it is. This is how it will always be. Not because I say so. You don't gotta remember who I am. You don't gotta care about me. I don't need to be right. I'd rather be wrong than try to be right and oppose the truth. But we're just spreading truth. And so there you go. Frank the Guitar. Shout out to Yamaha. No affiliation as of today's date, but they've made this beautiful instrument, and I love it. So CGS 102A, but he's got a custom radius. So yeah. Yeah, because as bold as I sound, and I might sound worked up to somebody else, no, it's just the level of contentment, the level of just knowing that this is just how it is something I had to do so much to be able to get to this point, this ease of playing, this ability to just, hey, look, I'm holding something, and then, hey, look, I'm playing, right? I mean, just nothing changes. Look at my neutral wrists. I mean, it's just like the body's working. There's mobility. I mean, I'm not trying to be like anything other than I want it to be silly. I want you to almost be laughing at my examples because of how like exaggerated I'm making it. Just because I'm trying to do all that I can, and I do this throughout all three sides of In the Image Clothing Company, to just make it so obvious that there's no opinion that I could have to these things. That's the thing. But it's got to come with context, right? I mean, you tying your shoes unevenly, and your right foot is being pulled out, so now your right arm is out, and now you're going to play similar to this. But if you tie your shoes evenly to the center of your being, like this, right? Not like we're just trying to have a belief about yoga classes and things, right? I know where people's minds go and how they dismiss things. I have dismissed things in the ways that I have as well. So I get it, right? We're human beings. We get stuck in our ways sometimes. But you're here and you're here, okay? You're out here because you're tying your shoes unevenly. And like I'm saying, how the hand travels down to the feet travel up to the hand as well. The body only works as a whole, and especially when you're introducing ropes to it and altering the body. So in the Image Clothing Company, right, we've got our shoelace technique, and we tie our shoes evenly over toward the inside. I'm holding Frank the guitar here, so it's kind of, not the most comfortable to be doing the demonstration. But yeah, if your foundation at your feet is being pulled out, then you're here, more an external rotation on the right rather than internal rotation, right, toward the center. External rotation over here, people's right shoulders are almost always dropped lower than their left. Their right hands are almost always lower than their left if they're just standing. And it's just how the human body works. This is what In the Image Clothing Company is, right? Physically, as far as with the human body. We also just discussed the gospel of Jesus Christ in and through everything we do. But you're in external rotation over here, and now getting to a guitar and trying to play, trying to rotate in, look where you're at, right? Rather than just naturally being in internal rotation and coming here, okay? Not my opinion, not an ideal world, just the body only works how it does. So a lot of context, a lot of deep explanations, a lot of, just truth on In the Image Clothing Company music. Well, that's where we are. I was going to say under the podcast of In the Image Clothing Company, and also just the main side of things. But I think that's what I was saying toward the beginning of this more, where I was like, I feel out of practice with In the Image Clothing Company music and how to approach even speaking on this side of the company, because normally I'm just kind of sitting here freestyling music and playing guitar, So my approach is like, this isn't a podcast episode, but we're also just discussing things as they are, so it just feels different to me to be saying these things. But I'm trying to kind of get over myself, because I used to do a lot of really short videos at this time period. Within the past few years, it's been so common for videos to be so short, and I fed into that for quite a while. And I used to approach playing guitar and making videos through that, trying to make it really short form. And no, I mean, I got to get over myself, right? And just make things as they need to be, praying through it and doing what I need to, explaining things as thoroughly as I need to, and realizing that In the Image Clothing Company music is just as much In the Image Clothing Company as the other two sides of us. So it's not approaching music the way that I was in the past, which was very incorrect. I was doing it to try to get views. I was doing it to try to have like a flash of content that you can hurry and like love for a second until you move on to something else that you think you love, but you didn't actually love either of those things. Both times you were just waiting for the next video, right? I just wanted to be real. And so I got a lot of intentionality that I have to always have in everything that I do. And I'm trying to, and I really am very intentional. But as far as approaching In the Image Clothing Company music properly, it doesn't need to be short form music clips. It can be, you know, somewhere around an hour long video of deep explanations like we do on the other two sides of the company, but, you know, coming at it through the avenue of music and approaching instruments, approaching singing and whatever it is, and me learning along the way as I do these things, right? So it doesn't matter if you like nylon string guitars or not, if you're playing a steel string guitar, all these things apply. Down here, it just doesn't quite happen the same with a steel string guitar. Normally, they just have a little ball end string, and so that's different. Still, if you can do anything you can do, meaning do everything you can to allow the strings to pull outward, because then, again, you're just opposing the grip with the rebound of the string, and so that's going to just keep your hands very healthy. And up here as well on a steel string guitar, yeah, sometimes you'll have, pretty commonly in my personal case of the guitars that I've owned, you have these outer two E strings being pulled inward at the top, and even though it's past the nut, it's affecting the rest of the string, and so even your right hand clear over here is feeling what's going on over there. But everything we do together, hands to the center of like the forearm, for example, right? Neutral wrist is here, but then the fingers all connect to the center of where the forearm would be. All the strings pulling out from the center of the fretboard, the hands themselves working toward the center of the human being. There's no opinion to it, but the spine, right? That's why, again, smaller guitars allow your body to work. You get out here and you're falling and you're hurting, and my knee actually hurts. Oh, it's not because I'm like